Vaccine hesitancy isn't just an internet fad, it's a growing movement that's reshaping how families across the US approach their children's health. In fact, the conversation around vaccines has become one of the most heated and complex debates in modern parenting. It's not just about a single shot or a single disease, it's about trust, information, and the very nature of how we make decisions for our kids. The topic of vaccines has become a lightning rod for broader anxieties about science, authority, and the future of public health. For many parents, the decision to vaccinate, or not, is deeply personal, wrapped up in their hopes, fears, and dreams for their children's well-being. Every year, millions of parents are making the difficult decision to skip or delay vaccines for their children. This isn't a fringe issue anymore. It's a mainstream concern that's affecting schools, communities, and even public health policy. So, what's really driving this trend? Let's break down the reasons behind this growing wave of vaccine hesitancy and see what's at stake for families and society as a whole. The ripple effects of these choices are being felt everywhere, from playgrounds to pediatricians' offices, and even in the halls of government where new policies are being debated. Let's start with the numbers, because the statistics are eye-opening. The data paints a picture of a nation at a crossroads, with more and more parents questioning what was once considered routine medical care. According to a recent national poll, about 16% of American parents, that's roughly 1 in every 6, have either delayed or completely skipped recommended childhood vaccines for their kids. To put that in perspective, that's millions of children who are now at risk for diseases that were once nearly eradicated in the US. This isn't just a blip on the radar, it's a significant shift in public behavior that has the potential to change the health landscape for an entire generation. These aren't just numbers on a page, they represent real families, real children, and real communities. When so many kids go unvaccinated, it doesn't just affect them, it impacts everyone around them, from classmates to grandparents to newborns who are too young to be vaccinated. The concept of herd immunity, which protects the most vulnerable among us, starts to break down when vaccination rates fall below critical thresholds. Suddenly, diseases that were once rare can find new footholds, putting entire communities at risk. And it's not just about COVID or the flu. The hesitancy extends to the basic vaccines that have been part of routine childhood care for decades. Vaccines for diseases like measles, mumps, rubella, and polio, once considered essential, are now being questioned by a growing segment of the population. We're talking about the essentials: measles, mumps, polio, and more. These are diseases that once caused widespread illness and even death, but thanks to vaccines had become rare. Now, with more parents opting out, we're seeing outbreaks return in places that hadn't seen them in decades. So what's behind this dramatic shift in attitude? The resurgence of these diseases is a wake-up call, reminding us that progress in public health can be fragile and easily reversed if we let our guard down. First and foremost, fear of side effects is a huge factor. For many parents, the idea of injecting their child with something that could cause harm, even if the risk is extremely low, is terrifying. Stories about rare but serious reactions, whether true or exaggerated, spread quickly and stick in people's minds. The emotional weight of these stories can be overwhelming, especially when amplified by social media and word of mouth. In fact, over 2/3 of hesitant parents say they worry that vaccines could cause long-term health problems for their children. These concerns range from allergies and autoimmune disorders to developmental issues. Even though the overwhelming majority of scientific studies show that vaccines are safe and effective, the fear of being that 1 in a million case is enough to make some parents pause. The power of anecdotal evidence, a neighbor's story, a viral video, a heartfelt blog post, can sometimes outweigh years of scientific research in the minds of worried parents. Medical experts and pediatricians work hard to reassure families, pointing to decades of research and millions of safely administered doses. But for some parents, no amount of data can outweigh a gut feeling or a personal story they've heard from a friend or online. The challenge for healthcare providers is not just to present the facts, but to connect with parents on an emotional level, addressing their fears and validating their concerns while still advocating for evidence-based care. Then, there's the issue of trust, or more accurately, the lack of it. Trust in the medical system, in pharmaceutical companies, and even in government health agencies has eroded for many Americans over the past decade. Scandals, changing recommendations, and a sense that profit sometimes comes before people have all contributed to a growing skepticism. More than half of vaccine-hesitant parents say they simply don't trust that vaccines are as safe as they're claimed to be. This skepticism is fueled by a steady stream of conflicting information, changing guidelines, and high-profile controversies that make it hard to know who or what to believe. When official recommendations change, even for good scientific reasons, it can feel to some like the experts are making it up as they go along. And with misinformation spreading at lightning speed on social media, it's easier than ever for doubts to take root. A single viral post or video can reach millions of people in hours, often outpacing the efforts of doctors and scientists to set the record straight. Algorithms tend to amplify the most sensational or controversial content, making it even harder for accurate, nuanced information to break through the noise. It's no wonder that even the most well-intentioned parents can find themselves second-guessing expert advice. When you're bombarded with conflicting messages, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and unsure about what's truly best for your child. The sheer volume of information and misinformation can make it feel like you're drowning in opinions, with no clear way to know who to trust. Personal beliefs and values also play a major role in vaccine decisions. For some families, the choice to skip or delay vaccines is rooted in a desire to take a more natural approach to health. This can be influenced by a broader cultural movement that values organic food, holistic medicine, and a return to traditional ways of living. Some parents believe that natural immunity, gained by actually catching and recovering from a disease, is better than the protection offered by vaccines. They may see vaccines as unnecessary or even harmful interventions in the body's natural processes. This perspective is often reinforced by communities and online groups that share stories of children who thrived without vaccines, further strengthening the resolve of hesitant parents. Others are drawn to alternative health philosophies, which often emphasize holistic wellness, herbal remedies, and skepticism of conventional medicine. These beliefs can be deeply personal and are sometimes passed down through families or communities. For some, the decision to avoid vaccines is part of a larger worldview that questions mainstream science and seeks out alternative paths to health and healing. For some, the decision is influenced by religious or cultural beliefs. Certain faiths have teachings that discourage or even prohibit vaccination, while others may simply prioritize different approaches to health and healing. And for a growing number of parents, it's about wanting to do things differently from the mainstream, to question authority and carve their own path. In a society that values individualism and personal freedom, the desire to make unique choices for one's family can be a powerful motivator. And let's not forget, distrust in big pharmaceutical companies and government agencies is at an all-time high. Scandals, lawsuits, and shifting health recommendations have left many people feeling like they can't trust the institutions that are supposed to protect them. The perception that profit motives or political agendas might be influencing health advice only adds to the uncertainty and suspicion. Especially after recent shakeups in health policy, many parents are more skeptical than ever. They worry that profit motives, politics, or bureaucracy might be influencing the recommendations they receive, rather than pure concern for public health. The rapid development and rollout of new vaccines, while a scientific triumph, has also fueled concerns about whether safety corners were cut or long-term effects fully understood. Doctors and healthcare providers are well aware of these challenges. They see firsthand how difficult it can be to have honest, productive conversations about vaccines with worried parents. Many healthcare professionals are now receiving special training in communication and empathy, learning how to listen as well as educate. That's why many are now focusing on building trust through open dialogue, empathy, and respect for parents' concerns. Instead of simply telling families what to do, they're working to answer questions, address fears, and help parents feel confident in their choices. This approach recognizes that every family's situation is unique, and that building a relationship of trust can be just as important as sharing scientific facts. The goal isn't to pressure or shame anyone, but to empower parents with accurate information and support so they can make the best decisions for their children's health. By fostering a sense of partnership rather than confrontation, healthcare providers hope to bridge the gap between science and parental intuition, So, where do you stand on this issue? With so many voices, opinions, and emotions in the mix, it's easy to feel lost or conflicted. But at the end of the day, every parent wants what's best for their child, and that means making informed, thoughtful choices, even when the answers aren't always clear. The journey to a decision can be long and winding, filled with research, conversations, and soul-searching. Are these concerns legitimate? Or are they missing the bigger picture about the importance of community health and disease prevention? The debate is far from over, and your perspective matters. As society continues to grapple with these questions, it's crucial that we keep the lines of communication open, listen to each other's experiences, and strive for understanding rather than judgment. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you faced these decisions in your own family? What helped you make your choice? Let's keep the conversation going, because when it comes to our kids' health, every voice counts. The more we share, the more we learn, and the better equipped we all are to make choices that protect not just our own families, but our entire community.